Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm gonna play a training game, 121. While we're waiting for the game, I want to show you something very interesting. Okay, so recently I was invited to check out Lichessladders, which, if you know me, if you know that I like playing long time control training games, well, it's the perfect thing for me. Basically, it's a way to play high quality, slow time control games on Lichess. There's a ladder. There are two, actually, a 30 plus 30 ladder and a 60 plus 30 ladder. And you challenge people above you. You have no option to challenge people below you. So I could technically challenge Matt Chesik and Chess Gone Mad from this position. On the leaderboard. You've got 14 days to play the game on Lichess, and if you win, you go above the person you've beaten. And the one key part you have to remember is that if you're challenged, you must play or you forfeit the game. So I've been challenged. I've joined the 60-30 ladder yesterday, and I've been challenged by this guy Max ING, and whoever challenges has white, so I have black. This guy is, what's his rating? 2066. I haven't played any games yet, I've just joined. So technically, if I had challenged one of these two guys before being challenged by Max ING, I'd have, you know, a challenge button next to their name, and I could set up the challenge and have white, but I haven't. So let's see. I'm gonna schedule the game. Everything's done through Lichessladders. I have never scheduled the game before. Okay, scheduling challenge against HPY. I confirm that I have agreed. Okay, no. Okay, no. We have to message each other through Lichess. He has actually messaged me. So there are some rules you have to read. It's nothing major, but you know, you can only have one open challenge per ladder at a time. You have 3 days to schedule a time to play if you are challenged. So I have 2 more days to do that. And my goal will be to climb to the top of the 60 plus 30 ladder. Now, I'm not going to be recording these games. These are serious games for me. I'm going to try to play them seriously. If you want to join, if you want to challenge me after I've hopefully beaten Max ING, check out Lichessladders. There's a link below, and you can also just Google Lichessladders. I hope you like it. I love it. Let's go back to the game. Okay, finally a game. I've been waiting for so long. Now you can see how Lichessladders could come in handy if you want to play serious training games. Now I'm gonna try to play those games on Lichessladders, you know, using an actual board next to me and playing very seriously, because I want to climb the top of the ladder. Okay, we have knight of 3d5. I've recently finished the tournament in Pula, and it went pretty well. I'm gonna be covering all those games. I still have to cover Versar Open. I played in May, but soon I'm going to be covering all the games. I have about 20 tournament games to show you, I think. And I have 2 tournaments coming up in August. I'm not going to be playing in July because there's nothing good enough and cheap enough. I could go to the Zadar Open, but I'd have to play the B tournament, which is, I think, under 2000 or under 2100, something like that. And honestly, I don't like playing B tournaments because chances of getting paired with higher rated opponents are almost non-existent. So you can bet on having 9 weak opponents, or excuse me, weaker opponents. So yeah, I don't like that. Also, Zadar has become very expensive recently. So yeah, I'm going to be playing a tournament in Poland at the beginning of August, and then I'm going to be playing one in Italy at the end of August. So there will be more games coming up. Okay, we have a normal Semi-Slav now. My opponent can play bishop g5, e3, queen c2, b3 is a move, but bishop g5 or e3 are the most common. Okay, we are going into the madness of the anti-Moscow if they play bishop h4. That's always fun. It's never easy to play, and I never really know what's going on. Well, no one does. Another move is bishop takes f6, going into the Moscow, which is a bit... What? This I have never seen before. So, okay, in the anti-Moscow, when they go bishop h4, you just win the pawn on c4. But now I don't have to waste the tempo on g5, because the bishop's not pinning my knight. Okay, I'm just going to take the pawn. I don't know the move bishop f4, so if e4, b5, I don't even have to weaken myself with g5. This just seems like a complete waste of tempo, because I'd normally against bishop f4 I'd take anyway, and I wouldn't have h6 on the board. How does h6 make my position worse? I don't think it does. It actually makes my position better, because I have Luft, and maybe I have g5 in the future. I think we're just up a pawn. I mean, we've seen this idea of white playing bishop f4 or bishop g5 in the Queen's Gambit prematurely and losing the c4 pawn. I don't think there's any compensation for the pawn now. I mean, if you yeah, okay, I'm gonna go b5. I'm just defending my pawn. If my opponent tries a4, I have bishop b4, pinning the knight, and then the main move sort of would be knight d2, unpinning the knight, and then when they take on b5, I take on c3, eliminating the second attacker on b5, and I'm still up a pawn. So this is just a pawn up. And what's worse, the bishop's on f4, so I constantly have knight e4, knight d5 ideas, just exchanging a piece, and well, in that case, I probably recapture with the queen. Okay, now I have to go bishop b4. I have to save my b pawn. And now I have knight d5 coming up, also knight e4. Yeah, this is much worse for white. It has to be. It makes no sense to play this way. There's no way to regain the pawn. You could try to play for something like bishop b8, rook b8, a b5, c b5, rook a7. But giving up the dark squared bishop just to regain your pawn and leaving black with a 2-1 pawn majority fairly advanced on the queen side, I don't think is a good idea. Okay, so now what's wrong with knight d5? If bishop b8, I just take on c3. If queen c2, I just take on f4. Okay, this is tremendous. I mean, I'm not only up a pawn, I have a significant strategic advantage as well now, because this is a double attack. Okay, do I just snap the bishop off? I think I do. I could consider queen a5. Queen a5, queen c2 is forced. If castles, I play bishop c3, bc3, knight c3, then there's queen d2. So queen a5 or knight f4. Queen a5, queen c2. Well, I can also just play queen takes a4. I don't want to, though. Do I want to win another pawn on a4? Queen a5, queen c2. Say bishop c3, bc3. Yeah, I'm never really... taking on a4. Okay, I'm just gonna take on f4. I like having this bishop. Now queen a5 makes no sense, so I'm just gonna develop. And I'm thinking knight bd7 to prevent knight e5, and also planning perhaps knight b6, knight d5. I don't want to take on c3 until I absolutely have to. I can also play knight bd7, castles a6, because now my rook's defended. Okay. I could just go a6. Yeah, a6. If rook back to a1, then bishop b7. I don't want to give up this dark squared bishop unless I have to, and I definitely don't have to. If a6, b3 takes, queen takes, bishop e7, takes, okay, that's fine, I'm just defending my pawn. If d5, I take it. Yeah, up a pawn for nothing. The rook left a1, so ab, cb, knight b, ab doesn't do anything because my rook isn't hanging. Now my plan is to go bishop b7 followed by c5, liberating my position. But before I do that, I have to castle to avoid problems. Now with bishop b7, there's bishop f3 threatening ab, cb, bishop b7, but I have queen b6. Or queen c7. I probably have to go queen c7 to avoid knight d7, king takes d7 being forced. I don't see an alternative to bishop b7. And bishop f3, I could go queen c7. I could also take on e5. I don't want to take on e5, because my opponent plays fe5, I guess. Because d5 just trades queens. Bishop f3, queen c7. Is there d5? d5 takes. No, there's no d5. d5 takes ab. Bishop c3. Maybe ba6? Okay, so queen c7. Queen c7, d5. Well, I could go e d5. What's stopping me from going e d5? Maybe knight d7, queen d7, rook e1 check. King f8. Maybe that's a bit too messy. Do I just play knight takes e5? And then queen c7 next? That feels more natural. Knight e5, fe5, queen c7, defending everything. If a, b, c, b, bishop b7, queen b7. If knight e5, d e5, I trade queens. Okay, I'm taking on e5 first. Now maybe I don't go queen c7. Maybe I go queen b6, but I'm not sure. The problem is that he may now have knight e4, knight d6 if my bishop ever moves. But for now, queen c7, I have to defend the bishop. I also want to set up ideas like rook d8 and taking on e5. d5 definitely does not work now when d7 isn't a possible capture. Oh, perhaps I just blundered and allowed b3. On b3, I think I have to take on c3. Because knight b5 is hanging. I should have gone queen b6. b3, if ab3, yeah. ab3, ab5, cb5, knight b5. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. I should have gone queen b6. Okay, this knight must go away. The knight must go away. And I guess I take on b3, because otherwise I lose a pawn. Queen b3, queen b3, castles, ab, queen b. I should have gone queen b6. Okay, I have to take. Should have gone queen b6, not queen c7. If d5 now, can I get away with ba4? Probably not. Okay, queen b3. Now my opponent's threatening ab, ab, and queen b. So I have to defend. Queen b6 now. There is a5, queen a5, bishop c6, bishop c6, rook c6, castles, seems fine. Queen b6, d5 seems fine. Queen b6, a, b, c, b. Bishop b7, queen b7 seems fine. Yeah, I should have gone queen b6 in the first place. I just lost the tempo. The problem now is that my opponent has queen b4 or queen a3. So I think I have to go queen b4. So that on queen b6, so that on queen b4 I can play a5. And then queen c5 takes, rook c8, rook c1, king d7. Ah, I buried my bishop. I'm no longer better, I think. Queen c7 was such an awful move. And I know that queen b6 is always the square for the queen. Why did I play queen c7? Oh, the games I'm gonna show you from the pool I open were crazy. I have a new rule that I don't accept or offer draws unless my opponents are IM or GM. So everyone else I'm playing until it's a dead draw or until someone wins. Can I take on d4 now? Queen takes d4, bishop c6, bishop c6, rook c6. I have to castle. Queen d4, bishop c6, bishop c6, rook c6. I don't have time for ba4 or queen a4 because rook c8 wins the rook in the corner. Queen d4, if rook d3, I can take on a4 or on e5. Queen d4, bishop c6, rook c6, castles, a b5, queen b5 loses to rook a1, I think, or queen e5. Okay, this is fine, I can take. AB now doesn't do anything because I can just play AB. And the best thing is that queen a3 and queen b4 don't work. There's no way to prevent me from castling. I think I have to take on c6 or on b5. Okay, takes. I mean, is there an alternative? No. Okay, so castles, because rook c6 is hanging. I think that's the plan. Castles, AB, AB, queen b. Do I have rook fb8 followed by queen e5? How can my opponent defend the pawn? They cannot. They could go... No, they cannot. I can castle. Rook e6 doesn't work. So AB, queen b, rook b8. How does my opponent defend on b5? On e5? If rook c4, I can take on f2 and then take on b5. Okay, yeah, this is fine, this is fine. I can take and go rook fb8. I lost my advantage when I played queen c7. That definitely wasn't a good move. And I mean, it's obvious I had to go queen b6. I may still be up a pawn, although rook fb8, there's queen e2, which I just realized. Oh, but then there's rook b2. But then rook c8 check. Rook c8, king h7. Or actually, on rook b2, rook c8, I can go king h7 immediately. Because on rook a8, I go rook e2. Okay, this is fine. Queen b5, rook fb8, queen e2, rook b2. If rook c8, king h7. If rook c2, then I can take. If queen takes, then queen e5. If rook takes, then rook a1. Should be mate. Or I mean, they can give up the queen. Yeah, okay, I think the pawn on b5 is immune. I'm up a pawn. Or at least, I mean, we're going to trade the b pawn for the e pawn, which isn't going to be enough to win. I'd much rather be left with an outside passed pawn. We have calculated everything. No need to overthink things. Queen e2, rook b2. Rook c2, rook b1. Rook c2 takes, rook b1. Or rook c2 takes, queen e5. Yeah. Also, maybe I don't take on e5. Maybe I play rook a2. Because f2 is weak. This isn't about pawns anymore. I've completely missed that my opponent has queen c5. Why did... I didn't even consider queen c5. Okay, queen b2. I want to keep up the pressure on e5 and on f2. My plan is rook a2. If rook c8, then that loses the queen. If rook c2, I have rook a1. And that loses to rook c1, queen c1, queen e5. I mean, it loses a pawn. Maybe it doesn't lose the game. Oh, how I lost my advantage. Still, h6 was a useful move because my back rank isn't hanging. I wouldn't even be able to play queen b2 if I hadn't played h6. But I lost my advantage with queen c7. I should have taken more time. Queen c7 was such a weird move. And of course I don't want to trade queens here. Why would I trade queens? Then it's just dead even. Alright, sensible. If I go rook b5 now, rook c8 check, king h7, queen c2 check, queen c2, rook bc2. I think this works. Rook b5. There's no other way to save the e-pawn unless you go rook c8 check, king h7, queen c2 check. But then queen c2, rook 1 c2, rook c8, and rook e5. Okay, this works. If queen c2 immediately, I trade and take on e5. Yeah, I think I just win a pawn. I mean, I'm gonna be the insignificant e-pawn up once again. The b-pawn was much more useful. Let's go again. Rook c8, king h7. If rook a8, then rook c5, rook c5. Well, that's not clear at all. Maybe I just trade first. Rook c8, queen c8, king h7, queen c2 is unplayable. f4 seems very unplayable, because I'm just infiltrating, and queen d4 just wins a pawn. So yeah, I think on rook c8 I trade. Okay, takes, queen takes, king h7. There's no way to save the pawn. Perhaps my opponent has something like queen c7 or rook c7. On rook c7, queen e5, I'm threatening rook b1. So yeah, I think I trade and go king h7. Now the only way to save the pawn is to counter on f7, but I think on king g6 you're not saving the pawn anyway. Queen c7, king g6, if f4, queen d4. I mean, winning the e-pawn doesn't mean that I'm winning the game. I'm sure that with precise play, white will be able to hold this. Then again, I'd rather be a pawn up than not. And I'm definitely the one playing for the win. And it's not, I think, that much about the e-pawn. It's about the h2 b8 diagonal and my opponent having to worry about the back rank. And at the same time, the b1 h7 diagonal is covered sufficiently by my queen, because the only square to gain access to that diagonal would be d3. So for example, queen d7 now, king g6. Oh, trades. Sure. Let's fight this out. This has been won many times. This has been drawn even more times. Let's see my technique. My plan is to get the rook to the third rank, push this pawn all the way to e3, and hope that my opponent's king is on g2 when that happens. I have to play h5. He has to go h4 to prevent h4. Now let's get to the second rank. Wait a minute. If I go f5, there is f4. Okay, I'm gonna play rook a5 first, because my plan is to cut the king off on the third rank. And if they go g3, king g2, then my plan is e5, e4, e3. I don't want to commit my f-pawn yet. I also don't want to block it with king f6. I also don't want to lose it with king f5. I have to play this slowly. Okay. Now we're cutting the king off. I believe the king must head back. Okay, now this is a weakness. This is a definite weakness. Now I have a way into the position, because now g2 is going to be weak, and this plan works because it undermines the pawn is pinned. Okay, so f6. If king f4, well, do I just go rook a2 now? Forcing the king back to h3 or to h2 eventually? Okay, let's do that. I just want to prevent king f4 and g3 or g4. I want to keep all the pawns on the board because I'm trying to win. If I'm left with one pawn, then it's very likely just a draw. I think my opponent should have gone g3. King back and g3. That's the safest way to draw. This, I don't know. Okay, now I have to make progress. Let's go king f6. Let's see what they do. If they just wait, I probably go back to g6 and play f6. I can now also go e5, of course. And my plan is rook a3 and e4. I don't like this. Okay, I'm gonna defend. I didn't want to go king g6 because of rook g5. Now my plan is e5, king e6, if check, king f5, and then f6. If rook b... Okay, yeah, now e5. I almost never win drawn endgames. I would really like to win this one. Okay, wants to go g4. So let's prevent that with rook a3. Now on king g3 there is just e4. And then it's a lot clearer. King g3, e4. King f4 takes, g takes. Well, I could also go e3. What's the pawn endgame like? e3, well, rook e7 has been prevented. This is the ultimate goal. You want to have your rook on the third rank and then push against the pinned pawn. Okay, now progress with the king must be made. So king e6, f6, king f5. So f6 and king f5. Let's say then g4. hg, fg, king g, rook f7, king h4. What's that endgame like? It should be winning. No, excuse me. The white rook would take on f6, and then on king h4, rook g6. But then I have rook f3. That should be winning. My plan is f6 and king f5, and I believe that g4 is not a playable move. So let's say my pawn is on f6, my king is on f5, it's white to play, the rook is on b6, g4 check, hg4, fg4, king g4, rook takes f6. Okay, this is passive, so I'm just gonna play f6 and king f5. I think we're close to dominating their king. Because they played f3, they should have gone g3. That would have been much easier to hold. And then, of course, their defensive setup would have to involve trying to get the rook to the third rank to defend against e4. But since that wouldn't be possible, because my rook was already on the third rank, then the second rank defense is the best. You can find this endgame in every endgame book. I know how how the side with the extra pawn can try to win. It's almost never a win, though. But many strong players, many grandmasters have lost this endgame. A pawn down. Also, my opponent's under a minute now. Also, it's move 40? Wow. I have a feeling like it's move 90. We've been playing this endgame for a while. Okay, king f5. I think rook b6 was almost forced on the previous move. If it's not played now... Okay, king f4, there's still rook b4 check. Okay, yeah. Now how do I make progress? I'm gonna have to play... I'm gonna have to play g5. g5, hg, fg. Or g5, g4, hg, fg, king g, rook f6, gh4, or king h4. That should be a draw. That should be a draw. If I don't play g5, what do I do? I can just wait forever, but that makes no sense. I can also block their g-pawn with rook h2 and then play g5. So rook a2, king g3, I guess, and then g5. Because then g4 isn't possible. If the king goes back, then g4 is possible, but the king is worse. So I'm going to check that king away. And then play g5. Oh, g3, nice. Okay, now there is no g4, so I can just play g5. Now on ag, fg, rook back to check me on f8, I have h4, I think. Or do I take with the king? I don't think I take with the king. So fg, rook b8, h4, king h3. How do I make progress? Maybe I go rook a6. Okay. Okay. So I was thinking that h4 is almost forced. Maybe it's not. Maybe I go rook a6 straight away. Because my opponent's king doesn't really have too many squares. Maybe I don't have to commit to h4. And also, h4, king h3, rook a6, rook f8, rook f6, the rook moves, king f4. It looks scary. But then I have two pawns hanging. So maybe I play rook a6 first. Now my king definitely is coming to f4. Of course, the king and pawn endgames are losing. Okay, we are coming in. Whether this is good enough to win or not, I have no idea. I'm guessing my opponent's gonna go rook e8 now. Oh, I should have gone g4. No, g4, rook h5. Stupid. Okay, so king f4, rook e8. King f4, rook e8. Maybe rook f5. Okay, rook f5 seems nice. King f4, rook e8, rook f5, threatening... Oh, okay. All right. So now I have the option to go e4. If rook a4, I'm actually not winning with rook e6. They can trade and go king g4. Damn. I'm one move short. Wait a minute. e4, rook a4, rook e6, rook e4, rook e4, fe4, king e4, king g4, king e3, king g5, king f2, king h4, king g2, draw. e4 doesn't work. If I start with rook e6, my opponent has rook f8 check, and on king e3 there is rook g8, picking up the pawn. But maybe I have e4, fe4, rook e5? Maybe. If I go rook f5, then rook a4, king e3, rook e4, king f2. Am I making any progress? My king is cut off. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay, rook e6, rook g8, e4. If rook g5, well, there's no rook g5. Okay, rook f8. So rook e6, rook f8, king e3, rook g8, e4, rook g5, ef3, gf3, king f3. Rook h4, draw. Everything is a draw. I don't know what to do. Everything is a draw. I have no way to make progress. Okay, I'm gonna try rook g6 because I don't want to hang my g-pawn. I don't really care about rook f8 check. If I can go king e3, my opponent's gonna have to choose a side. This is the only pawn I can lose. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. Well, I guess that's it. I'll offer a draw. There's no point in playing on. Everything's just getting liquidated. Ah, why did I play Queen C7? Why? Trading rooks seems bad. So I'm just not gonna trade rooks. I don't know. Here. He declined the draw? Oh, I just realized he declined the draw. Why? Never mind. I mean, there's literally no way to win this, but... Okay. I mean, my opponent must move. If the rook moves, I'm playing rook g6 check, and the rook must go back. Okay. Okay, my opponent wants to go rook g4 and take the pawn, so king f4, rook g4, king f5, rook h4. Okay, I'm never trading rooks, obviously. I don't know, I'll just wait somehow here. My king is well placed, I don't have to rush things. Rook g4, king f5, rook h4, rook g1. Or even rook somewhere else, it doesn't really matter. Probably rook g1 is most precise. But I can also stretch out my rook wherever. And just like that, I'm defending a pawn down position after being up a pawn. But I know how to draw this. Worst case, I can set up a Philidor, but I don't have to go for that because my king is well placed. Their king is too far away. All right. I don't know what to do, so here. I just have to hold on to the 6th rank now. I had to try and play for a win. I mean, I had to. Maybe my opponent blunders with king g3 or king h3. Oh, come on. How long is he gonna play on? I think we should respect each other's rating and just, you know, give up. I was at least up a pawn in a 4 against 3 endgame in which you can make a mistake, and then 3 against 2. This is 1 against 0 and my king is well placed and I'm defending the 3rd rank. There is absolutely nothing you can do to make progress here. But okay, at least you guys can practice your technique. The reason this is a good setup is because my rook cannot be chased away from the 6th rank, misplacing my king, and if he ever makes progress with the pawn, then I can just check his king away forever. And you know, pick up the pawn. Okay, same position once again. Now he can blunder with king g3 again. Same position, the pawn cannot move forward, he can check me away as much as he wants. I'm just waiting on the 3rd rank until his king moves away, or until his pawn moves away. Okay. Now I can claim another rank, I guess. I could go rook b5. And on rook d6, king b4. I think that's the safest move. If the king comes to f4, I check it away. If the king comes to h4, I check it away. The king can never go to e5 because the pawn is just lost. All right. Oh, come on, man. How long are we going to play this out? This is crazy. I'm not going to offer a draw again because according to tournament rules, you're not allowed to offer a draw twice. Okay, I guess it's time to check the king away. The king can never cross to e5 because the pawn is lost. The rook can never block on d4 because the pawn is lost. The king must go back and it's just a draw. Takes. Rook g8 check, king h5. Okay. I mean, it's draw now. Okay. Finally. Now let's analyze. I'm so angry about queen c7. I'm sure that queen c7 was my first big mistake. First, let's have a look at whether bishop f4 has ever been played. Where are we? Yeah, okay, bishop f4. 3 games. Okay, let's see. dc4 has to be fine. e3, b5, fine. a4, bishop b4. I know these patterns. Oh, excuse me. Let me just expand the thing so that you can see it. Okay, sorry, I wanted you to see the engine. Okay. Knight d5 is fine. Rook c1. Knight f4 is fine. Knight d7 is best. a6 has to be good. Knight e5. Okay. I played bishop b7, which is fine. Knight takes was best. Bishop f3, knight e5 was best. F e5. Yeah, queen b6. Come on. Queen c7, and as you can see, my advantage sort of disappears. On queen b6, there are no tricks. Why did I play queen c7? Yeah, now it's just equal. Okay, the engine castles first, but yeah, I don't have enough. Yeah, draw. Let's see if my opponent made any mistakes. Let's see if I stood a chance ever. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm trying. Yeah. Literally 0 forever. Even when he was up a pawn, it's just 0. At least I knew this position. I think my technique was good when defending. I think I made any mistakes. Yeah, okay. Okay, it's a draw. What can we do? I should have gone queen b6. Now, 97% accuracy against 97% accuracy. I like that. I'm guessing my only mistake was queen c7. Yeah, queen c7 was my only mistake. After that, it was pretty simple. Of course, we both played well. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, check out Lichessladders. Challenge me. See you in the next one. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.